You've applied to hundreds of IT jobs and haven't heard back once. No interviews, no callbacks. You're starting to feel invisible, like burnt out, and you don't think you're going to make it. But it's okay, because in this video, I'm going to break down the exact system that I use to finally land interviews so you can do the same. I started out working overtime in a factory. I had no IT experience, and yet I still managed to switch careers and later become a cloud admin. So, quick disclaimer though, the job market is really bad right now. Everybody knows that. That's probably why you're watching this video. But it's okay, because it's not necessarily a you problem. It's the market. It's not your fault. So, with that being said though, there's a lot of things that you can actually take into consideration, things you can put in your own hands, so you can kind of correct your inputs and put yourself in an advantageous position when applying to IT jobs. So with that being said, the very first step you need to take is just make sure you're looking for the right jobs. Don't necessarily put all your focus on mid-level positions like system administrator, network administrator, stuff like that. If you have no IT experience at all, like, you should really be focusing on the entry level. I know a lot of people don't want to do entry level stuff, maybe because of the pay, maybe because, it's not exactly what they want to do. Like, maybe it sucks. Like, I know help desk is, nobody really wants to do help desk because you're supporting somebody on the phone and it really sucks. But there's some things you need to take in mind here. So first of all, 6 to 12 months and you bounce. Anything longer than 12 months, you've been there way too freaking long. Okay. Personally, I learned the majority of what I needed to know like in 3 to 4 months. But I would say comfortably for everybody, within 6 to 8 months, you should know about like 80% of what you really need to know, like in IT at that level. Anything else is kind of like smaller stuff that you don't really carry from job to job, and it's not really that necessary. So after 12 months, you, without a doubt, should already at least know the basic fundamentals and have like some confidence to move to the next job. So after 12 months, don't even like, just, you need to leave. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. So the other thing is like the distinction between like help desk and desktop support. I see a lot of people online on YouTube and everything, they always advocate for help desk as your first position, and I'm going to be the guy that actually advocates for desktop support. The reason being because desktop support is more hands-on, it's in person, you don't get to really work remote, and it requires like some kind of printer stuff, which usually gets into networking. There's the setting up for VLANs, looking at subnets and making sure it can actually communicate. You get into static IP configuration, some DHCP stuff, and all this stuff really serves as good like knowledge for you to put on your resume, and it's obviously professional experience, so you can actually talk about it and you can actually gain some confidence in understanding some network fundamentals. So it's really, really good experience for your resume rather than help desk and service desk, where you may not be exposed to that. Now, that doesn't mean like help desk roles don't do like desktop support type stuff roles, because it all depends on which company, what job you're getting. But I would say stay away from those jobs that say help desk and you're just on the phone. That's it. That doesn't mean like don't do it at all. I'm saying that there's still good opportunities, but the better opportunities are desktop support, hands-on type stuff. With that being said, like help desk, I personally don't want to be helping people that are on the phone all the time. Like, I just can't stare at a computer screen and make sure I'm like helping everybody through the phone all the time. I just, that's so, to me, that's like, it's going to get boring. It's going to get like irritating. Desktop support usually pays a little bit better, and you get to go in person and have more fun and hands-on stuff. It's a little bit different every day. And I'm a really big advocate for it. That's what I did first. I never did help desk, and I ended up to where I am now. So, and it's pretty much never remote, and here's why it's a good thing. Remote jobs and even hybrid jobs are more desirable, which means a lot more people are going to be applying to them. And if it's remote, then there's more competition. You've got people that are outside the area that job is within, applying to the same job that you're applying to. So usually, you'll see it. You already know this. You'll see like thousands of applicants on a certain position. It's like there's no way they're going to even look at your resume, right? So whenever you stick to local places, local jobs that are in person only, the pool of applicants is a lot smaller. The other thing is, if you live in a small city, there's less job opportunities, but probably better chances for you when those jobs do pop up in those cities. I would just say like you need to move if you don't see any opportunities. Like you really need to consider that because I mean, what are you gonna do anyway? Like, without risk, there is no reward. Like a whole video could be made on how to do this, why to do this, why to move and get closer to the big city. I really don't. It's pretty obvious. Just the last thing you want to do is be put in a scarcity mindset and always kind of be like just worried because you're not gonna get a job because there's no opportunity and you're screwed. So you really need to figure something out in that sense because you don't want to be like that desperate guy that's clinging to the first girl that smiles at him. You stay at a job for way too long just because it gave you a shot and now you're just screwed or something. I don't know. There's so many things to consider there, but biggest takeaway would be just stick to the local job postings and you'll do much better. You'll have a higher chance. The next piece of advice that I have for you is if you don't hear anything back for hundreds of applications, your resume sucks. Like it's something about it's garbage. Okay, first things first. Can I read your resume without blowing my brains out? You know what I mean? Like the resume is the only way into the interview. So let that sink in, right? Nobody knows who you are besides your application. So it's just like a sea of applications that they see, the resumes, and the only way somebody decides to call you is after reading your resume. Like you're not going to get into the in-person interview or the phone call interview or anything like that until they see your resume and they decide that you're a good fit. Okay? So you are your resume. As obvious as it sounds, you might just have to hear that. Like you are your resume. So people build this idea of who you are through your resume. So if you have links for your LinkedIn, your GitHub, and all this stuff, like it'll pull them away from your resume, and they can click onto your LinkedIn profile. They can actually visualize who you are. Honestly, all it takes is one look at your resume, and I can tell if I want to read it or not. And that's kind of the thing. Like if you see something that just looks like word salad, like dude, I don't want to read that. I don't have time for that. So you kind of, especially in this era of like little attention, like small attention spans, like you really want to make sure everything's very readable. You got like big bold font, like this is my education, these are my certifications, these are my experiences and my projects and everything. It's got links to it, like it takes you away, you can see more information on this stuff. Like this is kind of what you want, kind of bare bones, very simplified. It's like everybody knows who you are, what you got to bring to the table off the resume. And if you're not doing that, then you need to like fix that because that's going to hurt you a lot, especially if you have like lines in your resume. I've heard that this kind of affects the ATS or whatever, the applicant tracking system for like HR. So it might be throwing some of those off and it might look like you're a less ideal fit than you actually are. So just make sure you got good readability, no lines. As far as your experience is concerned, rather than just writing your responsibilities down, like what you've done, you need to make sure you put like accomplishments or things that if anything's like save time. Obviously you can ask AI for this on tips, but you really need to make sure you're not just saying like your job responsibility. Now, if you've done some technologies or worked with something, like it's not a bad thing to put in there, but if you've done anything that like save time or improved efficiency, save money, make sure you put that in there. So you need to pay attention to that. The other thing is, like, I saw somebody complaining that they couldn't get a job after doing a lot of these things that I've already mentioned and what other people have put online. But then they so they say like all these things they've done, they've listed all these certifications they've studied for, and then they show the resume, and it's just like, it's not the same person. Like the resume is not what I just read what they've done and they're doing, right? Like I remember they put something about like they automated some kind of task in PowerShell. And that's it. Like automated tasks in PowerShell. That's so like broad, but when you actually ask him about it, like he starts saying like he actually fixed some like kind of point of sale system stuff and that like integrated some scripts that you would run and it would save like 3 to 6 hours worth of troubleshooting time because of some kind of particular error code in the application or something. And it's like, dude, why wouldn't you put that on the like write down that thing, not the other thing that you automated tasks? Like what the hell, man? You know what I mean? So you guys need to make sure that you're like not just saying, oh yeah, man, I did that. Like seriously, you need to look at your resume. If you haven't heard a single thing back after honestly 75 applications, but we'll just go with 100. If you haven't heard anything back with 100 applications, like nothing, then you need to really take a look at what you're putting on your resume because it should not be that bad. Like it just really shouldn't. After I got mine tailored and I had my certifications and stuff on there, like I was getting a lot more, at least responses back than. I remember I got a phone interview my very first time, and it didn't turn into anything, but it was at least I got a phone interview. Like, you know what I mean? So just make sure that you are putting down and formatting your resume accordingly. I don't know how people still keep messing this up, even though they already say they know and they know, but they just don't do it. So really pay attention to your resume. And yeah, I mean, like once you get to the other thing would be the project section. And this is the next point that I wanted to talk about. Is this is what you're going to put on your resume is projects, because you probably have no experience. So obviously you're going to build the experience with projects. Now there's some specific projects that are going to be really good, but you want to aim for at least 2 to 3 of your best projects, no more. So obviously like link it to your GitHub or whatever you need to do to make sure like you can prove that you actually did it and you wrote it up and stuff like that. People really like to see that you can document things well. So some of the best things that you can look into here would be honestly an Azure, like an Active Directory lab, like, you know, hosted in Azure or something like that. But Active Directory alone, I had a lab that I put in mine for my entry-level position. It was just an Active Directory, like automated the creation of like thousands of users and something like that, right? And I pretty much reused that for my next job application for the junior network cloud administrator position that I got. And it still carried over. Like it had good weight. It was still valuable. And so I highly recommend, especially in the beginning, to show that you have an Active Directory experience, since you're going to be using it at most positions in the entry level and even later, that it's going to be a really good experience to have. So I highly recommend that as a beginner's lab to use. So and then plus as you build up your projects, you'll have a lot more like in your GitHub or whatever. So if anybody clicks off and they can like look through all the projects you've done, they'll see how much experience you have and like how much effort you've actually put into like getting better and improving. Aside from that, the very last thing I have for you guys is track and tweak your application. Like, dude, you have to track your applications. I don't understand. I get that people want to like just one click, quick apply on Indeed and stuff like that, but you really need to track your job applications, because this is how you're going to do better. Like, there's no way you're going to improve or see like a trend in what's going on without doing this. So what do I mean by that? You need to track like the job title, the company, the link of the posting, the location, the pay, the date you applied, and the status, like if you were rejected or if you just applied or yada yada yada. And then link the resume that you use. So obviously if you're using like Google Docs or something like that, just link the resume that you used. Like if you tailored a resume for that job application, then you need to like link your resume so you can kind of go back and look and see what you did to kind of see what fit, right? So you can go from there. So obviously you can also put like additional notes, like if it was hybrid, on-site, or remote, and like your confidence level of like how you felt applying to that position. So you don't have to build this from scratch. I made a job tracker template that's clean and easy to use. Just click the top link in the description. It's totally free, so just drop your email and you're good to go. That's pretty much it. Just experiment and see what works. Hopefully these tips were helpful to you. But just leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and best of luck.